Hey folks, how are you today? I'm glad that you're here, and I'm sure that you're glad that you're here too. Uh, anyway, there is something that has gone on in the real estate arena that I wanted to make you guys aware of. And the reason why I say that is because right now, every single franchised real estate brokerage and every single franchise realtor, uh, their brokerages and all of their other agents are having a meltdown. And they're having a meltdown because they don't understand the concepts of what they have to do going forward with what the NAR has settled with and the MLSs and everything else that has to change. And change comes hard. I'm not going to say change comes hard. I actually embraced the change back in October. So I started migrating my business off of a brokerage that says you must, you must, you must, to where my brokerage is I represent you, the seller, or I represent you, the buyer. I'm not being held to a standard to which is problematic at best, only because the code of ethics allowed for unethical and illegal behavior to happen. And when that happens, then all of a sudden that behavior becomes the standard. So I've never bought into standard anything. And that's just me because some people like Pepsi, some people like Coca-Cola, some people like Dr. Pepper. That's fine. Some people are Republicans, some people are Democrats, some people are independent. That's fine. The problem is that they say that commissions are negotiable when they really weren't, because the brokerages were saying this is our minimum and this is what you're going to do. And oh, by the way, all commissions are negotiable. Well, it's a double negative, and you understand where I'm coming from when I say that you can't say that it's negotiable and you say, well, this is our minimum, because then now all of a sudden it's not negotiable. Why can't I charge a smaller amount for $1 million property than I do for $100,000 property? That's the problem. And that's why I went independent. It's because that flexibility as an independent contractor was not independent. So I wanted to do some role playing with you as to what's been going on, and think of this as the stomach churns type of drama, in which we go into a bustling real estate office. And in that bustling real estate office, you have people running around trying to get paperwork and everything done. And all of a sudden, you come across Jessica, who is a very seasoned real estate professional. And she's pacing back and forth because her hair is practically on fire because of frustration of the news that the NAR has settled and all of the changes that are going to be required. And she says, I can't believe this is happening. The DOJ settlement is going to ruin our business. And she grabs a handful of papers from her desk and flings them into the air in frustration. They flutter down like confetti, adding to the chaos. And oh my goodness, what am I going to do? The world is coming to an end. Mark, another agent, rushes to her side, trying to calm her down. Now, sit down here, take a breath. Let's figure this out. We always figure this out, but we just need to stop and think about what we need to do in order to to go forward with this. Jessica says, how can you be so calm? This is serious. The DOJ is cracking down on our antitrust practices. They're accusing us of price fixing and collusion. Even though our brokerage says that our standard rate is 6%, they're accusing us of collusion. And if they find us guilty, it's game over for our office. Mark nods grimly. And he says, I understand the gravity of the situation. And he glances around to the other agents who are all frantically working but wearing expressions of worry and fear. But we need to get ahead of this. We need to have a plan. We need to show the DOJ that we're willing to cooperate and make things right. Jessica says, but how? We've been operating this way for years, going all the way back to the 80s. It's ingrained in our business practices. It's ingrained in our business model. It's ingrained in our business plans that we would always charge this and we would split the commission between the two. So the seller would always be the one who would pay. Suddenly, the door bursts open and Steve, the managing broker, storms in. His hair is also on fire. Let me just go ahead and do this. Did you hear the news? The DOJ settlement talks are heating up. They want us to admit guilt and pay a hefty fine. The room falls silent as everyone absorbs the news. The reality of the situation sinks in. Deeper, the agents exchanged worried glances. Jessica says, "This is a nightmare. We can't afford to admit guilt. It will tarnish our reputation forever." Mark says, "But if we fight it, we could end up bankrupt or worse." All the agents huddle together. Their minds are racing with possibilities and fears. How can we protect our commission? How can we make sure that we don't have a loss? They know they're facing this fight of their professional lives. Is it going to turn out for the best of them? Or is it going to be another heartbreaking act? Jessica says, "Okay, listen up, everyone. We're in this together. We'll fight tooth and nail to protect our business, but we'll also cooperate with the authorities and show them we're willing to make things right. And we won't let this setback destroy us." The other agents nod in agreement. The determination is etched in their faces that, yes, we could do this. And they may be facing the biggest challenges of their career, but they refuse to go down without a fight. I was just goofing off when I wrote that. And the funny thing about it is that this is what you hear across the board. I got off a call um, with one of the groups that I used to be with, and I know the hair is distracting because I have none. But I got off a call with some of the folks that I used to be with, and what they're trying to do is they're trying to protect the commissions, and that's the whole thing. Underlying thing is, how can we adjust our business in order to protect our commissions so nobody actually takes a loss? How can we actually make it so it's going to be good? But there's one thing in amongst all of this that is the problem. They're attempting to protect their commissions by still charging and then still doing the splits, which has been found a violation of antitrust acts. They're trying to protect that 6% or 5% or whatever they charge. And I feel comfortable saying 6% or 5% because that's what was part of the court case. So if you guys don't like it, sue me. And I'll be happy to defend it because it's public record now. But what they are missing, and they're missing the very fabric of the reason why they lost the lawsuit, is because they were protecting the commissions. They were protecting the National Association of Realtors and their membership by having these high commissions. These are all things that they've been found guilty of. I'm not stating anything obvious or disingenuous, but they miss one thing. That is the sellers. The sellers said, "Look, You're charging us 6%. You're giving half to a person who's negotiating against us. That's insanity. Well, the court agreed. And then on the buyer side, it's like, oh, well, you know what? I'll represent you and it'll be free because the seller pays for my commission. That's a lie. That was unethical. And that also went against the antitrust behavior. That was also brought up in this case. So, to wrap this all up, what we have found is we still have this mentality of trying to protect that 6% and continually doing unethical behavior versus actually stepping forward and saying, you know what? The federal government might have been right. And here's how we're going to adjust our business. If you're a big brokerage, I suggest that you be on the cutting edge of adjusting your business, because independent brokers like me who just said, you know what, I've had enough of the big brokerage mentality where, you know, if I'm a listing agent, I only get 38% of whatever the take is. And then I'm considered the jerk because, you know, I took so much money from the seller, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. This is all part of that lawsuit as well. And the other thing that was part of the lawsuit is all of these people who are using high pressure scripts to say, well, you know what? I am just the best real estate broker on the planet. Let me tell you, every single real estate broker is doing the same thing. They're getting the listing, they're putting it on the web. Some of them are making a website that allows you to see the inside of the house. Some are actually doing creative marketing. Others are putting it out on social media. But everybody's doing it. The only thing that's changed is the colors. You have some that are blue. You have some that are red. You have some that are pink. You have some that are orange. You have some that have cute little puppies. You have some that are eggs. But the fact of the matter is that there's a standard of practice to which the NAR says you have to abide by. That standard of practice is pretty much common sense. If you are the one who's charged with doing anything, you put a lockbox on the house, you put it into a scheduling system, you turn around and you make sure that there's a sign in the front yard if the area allows you to do a sign in the front yard. You put it out on the web, you do all the marketing that you can. No real estate broker is different. The only difference is that some will use high pressure scripts. Some will act like a robot. I am the best because I can do whatever everybody else does, but I do it better. Those kind of scripts. And then you have some that just absolutely extort the listing and the money from the seller in order to sell the property. Folks, our job is not to extort anything. We provide a service. You contact us in order to provide that service. We have to be honest with you, which is probably why people really don't like me, is because I am honest. I told one seller, it's like, well, the reason why they are chasing after this at a higher rate is because they want that higher rate so they can come in and do all these things to the house that you may not agree with in order to sell the house. And then say, for instance, if you fire them because it's taken too long to sell the house, well, you're on the hook for paying them for all of it. So it's understandable why everybody's hair is on fire, right? But the problem is that they're still not getting it. If you're not representing the seller and you're not doing what's in the best interest of your seller, then you are not being a fiduciary and you're not holding up to your agency agreement. If you're not being honest to your seller when you do the initial engagement, you are not doing them any favors. If you are not honest with your buyers and you're not being god awful honest with them, saying, make sure that you have your financing in order. Oh, by the way, because of the new lawsuits, you're going to be directly responsible for paying me just like an attorney. And you're going to have those agreements out that says, this is what you will pay me to help you buy the house. And this is how much it costs to do the paperwork, to follow up, to do inspections, to be there during the appraisal process, all of that. But, you know, some people like the shiny car that just so happens to be 30 years old and falling apart. They like that one spot on that shiny car because that paint is immaculate. And they'll buy that piece of junk and they'll drive it around, and then they'll scream that they got ripped off. Anyway, I am Matt Price. I am your auctioneer and I am your real estate broker. If you give me a call, 919-614-6288, we will speak honestly about your property, and we will come up with a solution that will put more pocket in your money than, I would have to say, a guaranteed offer. More money in your pocket than standard traditional listings, and more money in your pocket than the standard rates that they have all charged across all the brokerages, even though they have not said that they charge that rate. Anyway, I will talk with you later. Have a great week.